Hi, I'm Nanny and the Moose, and today we're going to talk about the art of aging successfully. And a vivacious, fascinating 100-year-old woman named Lucille. Age is just a number. If you agree with me that you don't feel as old as you might look, or as old as that number might say, then stay tuned. These stereotypes have to end, right? I do want to talk about the stereotypes and the different things you can do. I'm 83 and I still want to have fun. I want to laugh. My husband and I have stayed very close to our family. We do have a large family. We're very blessed. And we have gone on trips with all the grandkids, all 6 kids and spouses, and we have had a blast. And we used to come home and get in bed and say, I think they like us. I think they like us. Well, sure they do if you're having fun with them and you blend in with them. And I think that's been one of our secrets to staying young. And of course, we love the new babies, the new great grandkids as they keep coming along. They really keep my husband going. He loves those babies. I started YouTube about 7 months ago because I wanted to do this as a hobby and because I wanted to keep learning. And my number one thing with aging is keep learning. Anything, everything, keep learning. Right now, the Apple stores are closed, but at that time, you could go to the Apple stores in any mall, in any state, and get free lessons on how to put videos on YouTube or how to watch YouTube. They help you with the most interesting things. If you want to learn more about anything to do with your phone or an iPad or a computer, if you are an Apple person, go. Now, right now, unfortunately, these stores are closed due to the COVID-19. But for months, from January, well, it was December, the middle of December to the beginning of March, I made friends with these guys that were so helpful. They taught me all about how to do an iMovie, how to put it on YouTube, and I can't tell you how much I've learned. And of course, Google owns YouTube. I've always said that I've become much smarter. Whenever I have a question about anything, I go right to Google and ask them. And it's such a great thing. A lot of people don't even have Google. Now, you do need a Google account to be able to be on YouTube and to be able to comment. So I suggest you do that. It keeps your mind going. Do you know that the over 65 age group is the largest growing demographic in the world? That means we're going to be around for a long time. I once heard that if you make it to 65, you have a pretty good chance of lasting a lot longer. So what are we going to do with this age group that we're in? Bill and I spent 6 weeks in Idaho, and we had the most wonderful adventure. I know we were so fortunate to be able to do that. Our oldest son has a ranch up in Idaho, and it was in the middle of May. We spent a full 6 weeks up there. He came down with his wife in his motorhome, beautiful motorhome, and picked us up so we didn't have to stop anywhere. We didn't have to eat in restaurants. We spent 2.5 days on the road. One of my videos, as a matter of fact, I did 6 videos on life, our wonderful time in Idaho, from the glamping and camping trip on the way up, right to all the visits and the things that we did, the beautiful scenery, the people we met. And I think you should go back and maybe watch those videos. They were wonderful adventures. I caught a fish and fished for the first time. I did so many things for the first time, and I'm 83 years old. My husband enjoyed it immensely. Now, he's somewhat handicapped and has to use a rollator to get by. long, long recovery. But we're doing great. And I think age is all about attitude. So I'm trying to do some inside things and stay cool. I found an article in a new newspaper that came out in Orange County, Epoch, E-P-O-C-H, I think is the name of it. It had some really interesting articles, some about aging and the stereotypes of people over 60, 65. And one of them was a book review written by a woman by the name of Judy Gammon. She's the CEO of a health and wellness group associated with her husband's practice. He is a doctor, Walter Gammon, in the field of aging. And it's called Love, Life, and Lucille. And I'm going to show you this book. I had to send for it on Amazon. I couldn't get out to the bookstore because it's not something we're doing right now. We're sort of self-isolating. I get out every once in a while, but Love, Life, and Lucille. And it's all about Judy Gammon, who was she's also an author, obviously. And she was writing a book, I think, called The Age of Perfection. And she wanted to interview 5 people over the age of 100, centenarians. And she sent out one of her aides to find 5 people. And after only a couple of days, this gal came home and she said, wait till you meet this woman. She said, you only found one. She said, this is all we need. She found a woman by the name of Lucille Fleming who was living in an assisted living. This woman was absolutely fascinating. So Judy went to see her, be the most vivacious, interesting centenarian she had ever met in her life. And they started to meet every Friday for lunch. Judy would pick her up. Lucille would be dressed to the nines. And, she had several wigs. She'd have flowers in her hair, a beautiful ribbon at her neck, a flower on her lapel, and high heels, kitten heels. Always a beautiful silk blouse. She had a beautiful figure, and she'd come prancing out so excited. Basically, the book is part memoir of Judy and part all about Lucille. I read this book. It came in the mail in the middle of last week, and unfortunately, I read it. I couldn't put it down. Usually, I like to save the book for the next day a little bit, but I just couldn't put it down. I was fascinated with Lucille. I wanted to be Lucille. I guess all I can say is that her life was filled with wisdom, filled with insight. Of course, she had experienced everything from plagues, a couple of wars. She had lived through depressions, flus, and this woman not only had experience, but she had the key to longevity. And I think everybody knows it, but I won't tell you because it comes in the end, but obviously you probably know what it is. Through these Friday meetings, every Friday for lunch, Judy would take her to one fabulous place after another. And I think they were in Texas. And this Lucille just enjoyed the lunches so much. She ate everything from blueberries. Her favorite meal was Belgian waffle with blueberries and lots of whipped cream on top. But she talked, and as a result of this friendship that they had, Judy, who was also a public speaker on radio and I think eventually television, started bringing Lucille with her, and Lucille became somewhat of a celebrity. Without going any further, Lucille lived to be 104, and I loved this book. I think everybody should order it on Amazon. It's just out. I think it was published and distributed in this year, the beginning of the year. And if you are anywhere near that age, from 50 on, even younger people or families who have a loved one who's older, This is the key to enjoying life right to the end. If you are 104, that's a long, long way to go. But I love this book. Well, enough about Lucille. This is a great time of your life. You can enjoy family if you have family. You can enjoy your friends. You can go out and make friendships now. Not right now. This COVID-19 is keeping us somewhat isolated. And I do miss my outings. I do miss giving all our children and grandkids and great-grandkids hugs, but we do manage to see each other safely with self-distancing and meetings in a different way. And I certainly hope that things will get back to normal, although it might be a long time, and I think we're all adapting to it. Bill and I garden as a hobby. Bill has just finished a paint by numbers, and I should show you that in a next video. He spent about 25 hours doing this, has never painted before, and it's the most beautiful painting. Our little granddaughter Shannon came down, it was her birthday yesterday, and she came down to the house and she took a picture. She said, I have to take a picture of this with Moose, and she did. She was fascinated that my husband could do this. Now, we do love our gardening, as I said, but with the weather right now, it's kind of hard, but at least we can go out and sit in the garden. We have a very small garden, and we enjoy eating breakfast out there. Right now, it's a little hot. We're in the middle, in California, we still are experiencing summer. I am in my second wave of tomato plants, and I noticed this morning I have tomatoes the size of golf balls, green golf balls on there. Speaking of green, this is one of the things that got me, that made me order this book. There was a quote in this book review in the newspaper, just a little blurb that said, Lucille always had people buy her the greenest and most unripe bananas possible. And Judy remarked that this woman was so optimistic at 100, 101, 102, that she knew she'd be around to eat those bananas when they ripened. I just can't get that quote out of my head, and I love that philosophy. Some of these things have to go. I'm gonna really work on my succulent garden here. I have to tell you that one of my granddaughters has a friend who spends every Sunday afternoon about 3 or 4 hours with his grandmother. His grandmother must be a wonderful, wonderful woman. He loves that grandmother. He's not made to do this. He does odd jobs for her, but he also sits and talks with her. And the wisdom that she must impart to him must be amazing. I hope I'm that kind of a grandmother to some of my kids. I think maybe I am. I know I can clean up these rocks. I just love this old rock wall. But we have a lot of holing out and pulling out of weeds and volunteers. Just have to clipping away here. I do want to encourage you to reach out on the internet. They say that each year, adults over the age of 55 are becoming more knowledgeable with YouTube and Google. I hope so, because I have learned so much. I say ever since I've had Google, which has been for a long, long time, mainly because the grandkids got me hooked on the internet. We remember when we used to take pictures with our camera? Well, that ended, about 20 years ago. And everything was on your phone. And that's where they stayed. And I used to say to my kids after a trip, or we all went somewhere, I said, oh, please send me those pictures that you had developed. And I remember my daughter Margie said, Mom, we don't do that anymore. All the pictures are on Facebook. She said, you've got to join Facebook. Well, I had one of the little grandkids set me up and put me on Facebook, and I've never looked back since. It's a wonderful way to stay in touch with your kids and with your grandkids. And of course now we have Instagram, which is a lot of the younger kids prefer this. And there's Twitter and various other things. I haven't gotten that far yet, but I do get on Instagram. And this way, every day, I see what the kids are doing. I see what our friends are doing. We communicate, we wish each other happy birthday, and I think you should all do that. I know that a lot of our friends back east, Bill and I grew up back east, aren't members of Facebook, and I can't understand that. And these are educated people, especially the men. Sorry, men. But I think the women are a little ahead of you, especially in the older age group. If you've enjoyed this video, I hope that you'll consider subscribing. Help me make a little headway in this particular genre of aging. Well, thank you all for watching, and stay tuned for the next video. Hopefully it might be some more gardening overhaul with Matthew coming up with his sons and getting my garden started again like it was 3 years ago. Love you all. Bye-bye for now.